The stars looked different from here, and Amanda Clark knew she was farther from home than any human had ever been before. She stood at the window of the exploration ship New Horizon and watched the alien sun rise over a world that looked almost exactly like Earth. The planet below had green forests and blue oceans and white clouds that moved across continents shaped like nothing she had ever seen. They called this world Kepler 442c, but Amanda thought it needed a better name. Amanda was a doctor who studied old things and broken things and things that people had left behind. On Earth, she dug up pieces of pottery and old bones and tried to figure out how people had lived thousands of years ago. Now she was doing the same thing on an alien world, and her hands shook with excitement every time she thought about it. She had been waiting her whole life for a chance like this. Captain Henry Walsh called all the science team to the main meeting room that morning. Amanda sat next to Dr. Lisa Turner, who studied rocks and dirt, and next to engineer Jake Morrison, who fixed things when they broke. There were 12 people on the science team, and they all wanted to be the first ones to set foot on the new world. "We have been scanning this planet for 3 weeks now," Captain Walsh said as he looked at each person in the room. "Our computers show that the air is safe to breathe and the water is safe to drink. The temperature is good and there are no dangerous storms coming. We are going to send down the first landing team today." Amanda felt her heart beat faster. She had dreamed of this moment since she was a little girl reading books about space explorers and alien worlds. Captain Walsh looked at his computer screen and then looked up at the team. "Dr. Clark will lead the landing team," he said, and Amanda almost fell out of her chair. "You will take Dr. Turner and Engineer Morrison with you. Your job is to look for signs that intelligent life once lived on this planet. You have 6 hours on the surface and then you come back up here." Amanda nodded, but she could barely speak. Lisa Turner smiled at her and Jake Morrison gave her a thumbs up. They would be the first humans to walk on an alien world and look for signs of alien people who might have lived there. 2 hours later, Amanda stood in the shuttle bay putting on her protective suit. The suit would keep her safe from any alien germs and would let her breathe Earth air while she explored. Lisa and Jake were getting ready next to her, and they all checked each other's equipment 3 times to make sure everything worked right. "Remember the rules," Captain Walsh said as he watched them prepare. "You do not touch anything that looks like it might be alive. You do not enter any buildings or caves. You take pictures of everything, but you only bring back rocks and dirt and dead plants. If you see any signs of intelligent life, you call me immediately and return to the shuttle." The shuttle ride down to the planet's surface took 20 minutes. Amanda pressed her face against the small window and watched the alien landscape get bigger and clearer as they got closer. She could see rivers and hills and what looked like roads or paths cutting through the forests. Her heart beat so fast she thought it might explode. They landed in a wide valley next to a river that sparkled in the alien sunlight. The shuttle door opened and Amanda stepped out onto another world. The ground felt solid under her feet and the air smelled different even through her suit filters. It smelled like flowers she had never smelled before and rain that had fallen on alien soil. "This is incredible," Lisa said as she knelt down and started taking samples of the dirt. "The mineral content is very similar to Earth, but there are elements here that we have never seen before." Jake was setting up the communication equipment so they could talk to the ship. Amanda walked toward the river and started taking pictures of everything she saw. The rocks along the riverbank had strange patterns carved into them. The patterns looked like they had been made by intelligent hands and not by wind or water. "Captain Walsh," Amanda said into her radio, "I think we have something here. These rocks have markings that look artificial." "Take pictures, but do not touch anything," Captain Walsh replied. "What kind of markings are you seeing?" Amanda moved closer to the rocks and used her camera to zoom in on the patterns. They looked like symbols or letters from some unknown language. Some of the symbols looked like animals and some looked like the sun and moon and stars. Her training told her these were definitely made by intelligent beings. "These are definitely artificial markings," she reported. "They appear to be some kind of writing system or symbolic language. The style reminds me of petroglyphs from Native American cultures on Earth." As she continued taking pictures, Amanda heard a sound that made her freeze. It was a voice calling out from somewhere across the river. The voice sounded distressed and was calling in a language that her computer could not translate. Amanda looked across the river and saw movement in the tall grass on the other side. "Did you hear that?" she asked Lisa and Jake through her radio. "Hear what?" Jake replied as he continued setting up the equipment. The voice called out again, and this time Amanda was sure it was a cry for help. She could see something moving in the grass about 200 meters away near what looked like a muddy area by the riverbank. Against all her training, Amanda started walking toward the sound. "Amanda, where are you going?" Lisa called after her. "Someone needs help." Amanda replied as she moved faster toward the river. "Amanda, stop." Captain Walsh's voice came through her radio. "Return to your position immediately. You are not authorized to investigate unknown life forms." But Amanda could not stop. The voice was getting weaker and more desperate. She could see now that something was trapped in what looked like quicksand near the riverbank. As she got closer, she could see that it was not a human, but something that looked almost human. It had arms and legs and a head like a person, but its skin was darker and had strange markings on it. The being was sinking slowly into the muddy ground and reaching up with its arms, trying to grab onto something solid. Its eyes met Amanda's eyes, and she could see the fear and desperation there. This was an intelligent being, and it was going to die if someone did not help it right away. "I have visual contact with an indigenous life form," Amanda reported as she ran toward the trapped being. "It appears to be caught in some kind of quicksand and is in immediate danger." "Dr. Clark, you are ordered to return to the shuttle immediately," Captain Walsh commanded. "Do not approach the alien life form under any circumstances." Amanda reached the edge of the muddy area and could see that the alien being was young and probably male. He was wearing some kind of clothing made from animal skins and had ornaments in his hair that looked like feathers and small bones. He was calling out in his alien language and reaching toward Amanda with one hand, while trying to keep his head above the mud with the other. The mud was not normal mud. Amanda could see that it was bubbling and steaming and had a strange purple color to it. The alien's skin was starting to turn red where the mud touched it, and Amanda realized that the mud was acidic and was burning him. If she did not act quickly, he would die from the acid burns even if he did not drown. Amanda looked back toward Lisa and Jake, who were watching her from the landing site. She looked up at the sky where she knew Captain Walsh was watching from the ship. Then she looked back at the young alien who was still reaching toward her with desperate eyes. She knew that everything she did next would change the course of human history forever. Amanda did not think about the rules or the consequences or what Captain Walsh would do to her when she got back to the ship. She only thought about the young alien who was dying in the purple mud and who needed her help right now. She dropped her sample bag and pulled the emergency rope from her belt pack. Dr. Clark returned to the shuttle immediately. Captain Walsh's voice crackled through her radio, but Amanda turned the radio off. She could not listen to orders when someone was about to die in front of her eyes. The alien boy was sinking deeper into the acidic mud, and Amanda could see that his breathing was getting harder. The purple substance was eating through his skin wherever it touched and leaving angry red burns that looked very painful. He kept reaching toward Amanda and saying something in his language that sounded like a name or maybe a prayer. Amanda tied one end of her rope to a large rock and tested it to make sure it would hold her weight. The rock was solid and the rope was strong. She tied the other end around her waist and started moving toward the edge of the purple mud pit. The ground around the edge was soft and dangerous, and Amanda had to be very careful not to fall in herself. "Amanda, what are you doing?" Lisa Turner called from behind her. "The captain ordered you to come back." "I cannot let him die," Amanda called back without turning around. "He is just a kid and he needs help." Amanda reached the edge of the mud pit and could see that it was deeper than she had thought. The alien boy was already chest deep and still sinking. The purple mud was thick like glue, but it moved and bubbled like it was alive. Amanda could smell a sharp chemical smell that made her nose burn even through her suit filters. She took off her gloves and immediately regretted it. The air was full of tiny drops of the purple acid, and it started burning her hands as soon as her skin was exposed. But she needed to feel what she was doing, and the gloves were too thick for delicate work. "Grab the rope," Amanda called to the alien boy as she threw the end of her rope toward him. But the boy did not understand her words, and he was too weak to reach for the rope. Amanda realized she would have to go into the mud pit herself to save him. Amanda took a deep breath and stepped into the purple mud. The acid immediately started eating through her protective suit and burning her legs. The pain was terrible, but she forced herself to keep moving toward the trapped boy. The mud was thick and hard to move through, and with each step Amanda sank deeper. When she reached the alien boy, he was barely conscious and could hardly keep his head above the surface. Amanda could see that he was very young and probably not much older than a human teenager. His skin was covered with tribal markings and scars that looked like they meant something important in his culture. He had dark hair with feathers and small bones braided into it. and his eyes were a strange golden color that reminded Amanda of a cat's eyes. "I am here to help you," Amanda said in a gentle voice, even though she knew he could not understand her words. She hoped he could understand her tone and know that she was trying to save him. Amanda wrapped her arms around the alien boy's chest and started pulling him toward the edge of the mud pit. But the purple acid was making both of them weaker, and it was hard to move through the thick substance. The acid was burning through Amanda's suit and reaching her skin, and the pain was getting worse every second. "Jake," Amanda called toward the landing site. "I need the emergency medical kit right now." "Amanda, you are violating direct orders," Jake called back. "I cannot help you without permission from the captain." Amanda was angry, but she did not have time to argue. The alien boy was getting heavier in her arms, and she could feel him getting weaker. She had to get both of them out of the acid mud before it killed them both. Amanda used all her strength to pull herself and the alien boy toward the edge of the mud pit. Every movement was agony as the acid burned through her suit and ate at her skin. Her hands and arms were on fire, and she could feel the acid burning her legs and feet. But she kept moving because the alternative was letting an innocent person die. After what felt like hours but was probably only minutes, Amanda reached the edge of the mud pit. She pushed the alien boy up onto solid ground and then pulled herself out after him. Both of them were covered in the purple acid, and both of them were badly burned and barely conscious. Amanda rolled away from the mud pit and immediately started stripping off her protective suit. The acid had eaten through the fabric in dozens of places and was still burning her skin underneath. She threw the ruined suit as far away as she could and then turned to help the alien boy. The alien was unconscious and his breathing was very shallow. The acid burns covered most of his body, and some of them looked very deep and serious. Amanda opened her personal medical kit and started cleaning the acid off his skin with the emergency wash solution. The solution neutralized the acid, but the boy cried out in pain every time she touched him. "I am sorry," Amanda whispered as she worked. "I know it hurts, but I have to clean the acid off or it will keep burning you." Amanda used all of her medical supplies to treat the alien boy's burns. She used her emergency antibiotics and her pain medication and her burn treatment gel. She wrapped his worst burns with her medical bandages and used her emergency blanket to keep him warm. When she was done treating him, she had nothing left to treat her own burns. Lisa Turner finally ran over to help despite Captain Walsh's orders. She took one look at Amanda's burned hands and arms and immediately started treating them with her own medical supplies. The acid had burned through Amanda's skin in several places and the pain was terrible, but Amanda was more worried about the alien boy than herself. "Is he going to live?" Amanda asked as she watched the unconscious alien breathing slowly. "I do not know," Lisa replied honestly. "These burns are very serious and we do not know anything about his biology or how his body will react to our medicine." Jake Morrison finally joined them and helped carry the alien boy back to the shuttle. Captain Walsh was screaming orders through the radio, but none of them were listening anymore. They had an injured alien who needed medical attention and everything else could wait. The flight back to the New Horizon took 20 minutes and the alien boy remained unconscious the whole time. Amanda held him in her arms and watched his breathing and tried to will him to stay alive. She had risked everything to save him, and she could not bear the thought that he might die anyway. When they reached the ship, Dr. Susan Grant was waiting in the medical bay with equipment ready to treat both Amanda and the alien boy. Captain Walsh was there too, and his face was red with anger, but he did not say anything while the doctors worked. Dr. Grant treated Amanda's burns first because she was conscious and could tell the doctor what hurt and where. The acid had burned through several layers of skin on Amanda's hands and arms, and the pain was excruciating. But Amanda refused pain medication until she knew the alien boy was going to be okay. "You realize what you have done?" Captain Walsh said quietly as Dr. Grant worked on Amanda's burns. "You have violated every first contact protocol we have. You have risked starting an interstellar war. You may have doomed this entire mission." Amanda looked at the unconscious alien boy on the medical table next to her. His chest was rising and falling steadily, and his burns were cleaned and bandaged. He looked so young and vulnerable lying there surrounded by alien technology that he probably did not understand. "He was going to die," Amanda said simply. "I could not watch someone die when I had the power to save them. That is not who I am, and that is not who humanity should be." Captain Walsh stared at her for a long moment and then shook his head. "We will discuss your actions later. Right now we need to figure out what to do with our unexpected guest." Amanda closed her eyes and tried not to think about what would happen next. She had saved a life, but she might have changed the course of human history in the process. She just hoped that when the alien boy woke up, he would understand that she had tried to help him and that humans were not his enemies. The medical bay was quiet except for the sound of alien and human breathing and the soft beeping of medical equipment. Outside the window, the alien sun was setting over a world that would never be the same. The meeting room on the new horizon had never felt so cold and unfriendly. Amanda sat at the long metal table with her hands wrapped in white bandages that made it hard to move her fingers. Across from her sat Captain Walsh, and next to him was the image of Admiral Patricia Stone, appearing on the communication screen from Earth. The Admiral's face looked stern and disappointed, and Amanda knew she was in serious trouble. "Dr. Clark," Admiral Stone began in a voice that could freeze water. "Do you understand the gravity of what you have done? You have made unauthorized contact with an alien species without permission from Earth Command. You have violated every protocol we have established for first contact situations. You have potentially endangered this entire mission and possibly started a war between Earth and an unknown alien civilization." Amanda looked down at her bandaged hands and tried to think of what to say. She knew that what she had done was against the rules, but she also knew that she could not have done anything different. The alien boy would have died if she had followed the rules, and Amanda could not live with that on her conscience. "I understand that I broke the rules, Admiral," Amanda said quietly, "but there was a young person dying in front of me, and I could not just watch him die when I had the power to save him." "Your personal feelings are not relevant here, Dr. Clark," Admiral Stone replied sharply. "You are a representative of humanity, and your actions reflect on all of us. What you did could be seen as an act of aggression by the alien species. They might think we were trying to kidnap one of their people." Captain Walsh leaned forward and looked directly at Amanda. "The alien boy has been unconscious for 2 days now. We do not know if he will survive his injuries. We do not know if his people are looking for him. We do not know if they will blame us for his condition. We are in a very dangerous situation because of your actions." Dr. Richard Hayes, who studied alien life forms, spoke up from his seat at the end of the table. "We have no idea what this species is capable of. They could have weapons we cannot imagine. They could have technology that makes our ships look like toys. Dr. Clark may have doomed us all with her impulsive decision." Amanda felt anger rising in her chest, but she tried to keep her voice calm. "So you think I should have just watched him die? You think I should have stood there and let an innocent person suffer and die when I could have helped him?" "Yes," Dr. Hayes said without hesitation. "That is exactly what you should have done. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. The safety of this crew and the future of human space exploration is more important than the life of one alien." "I disagree," Amanda said, and her voice was stronger now. "If we cannot show compassion to other intelligent beings, then we do not deserve to explore the stars. If we are willing to watch innocents die to protect ourselves, then we are not the kind of people who should represent humanity to other species." Admiral Stone held up her hand to stop the argument. "The philosophical debate is irrelevant now. What is done is done. The question is what we do next. Do we try to return the alien to his people? Do we keep him as a prisoner? Do we leave the system immediately and hope his people do not follow us?" Captain Walsh pulled up a holographic display showing the planet below. "Our long-range sensors have detected increased activity in several locations on the planet's surface. There are large groups of the aliens gathering, and they appear to be moving toward this region. We think they might be looking for the missing boy." "How many aliens are we talking about?" Admiral Stone asked. "Several thousand at least," Captain Walsh replied. "They appear to have some kind of technology, but we cannot determine how advanced it is from this distance. They could be riding animals, or they could be using vehicles we do not recognize." Amanda felt her heart sink. If thousands of aliens were looking for the boy she had saved, then maybe she really had started a war. Maybe her attempt to save one life would cost many more lives in the end. Dr. Susan Grant entered the meeting room and all eyes turned to her. "I have an update on the alien boy's condition," she announced. "His burns are healing faster than I expected. His biology is remarkably similar to human biology, but his healing ability is much more advanced than ours. I think he will regain consciousness soon." "What about his mental state?" Captain Walsh asked. "Will he be coherent when he wakes up? Will he be able to communicate?" "I do not know," Dr. Grant admitted. "His brain activity looks normal, but we have no way to know how trauma affects his species psychologically. He might be afraid of us. He might be angry. He might not remember what happened to him. Admiral Stone looked directly at Amanda through the communication screen. Dr. Clark, you created this situation, so you will be responsible for dealing with it. When the alien boy wakes up, you will attempt to communicate with him. You will try to determine his intentions and the intentions of his people. If you can establish peaceful contact, then perhaps we can resolve this situation without bloodshed. And if I cannot, Amanda asked, then you will be court-martialed for disobeying direct orders and endangering this mission. Admiral Stone replied coldly, and we will do whatever is necessary to protect this crew, even if that means using force against the aliens. The meeting ended, and Amanda walked slowly back to the medical bay. Her burns were healing, but they still hurt, and the bandages made it hard to use her hands properly. She found the alien boy lying on the medical table exactly as she had left him. His breathing was steady and his color looked better than before. Amanda sat down in the chair next to his bed and studied his face. He looked so young and peaceful lying there. His skin was a darker shade than human skin and had natural markings that looked like tattoos but were probably part of his natural coloring. His hair was long and black with feathers and small bones braided into it. Even unconscious, he looked proud and strong. I am sorry, Amanda whispered to the sleeping alien. I am sorry that trying to save you has caused so much trouble. I hope when you wake up you will understand that I was only trying to help. Dr. Grant came into the medical bay and checked the alien boy's vital signs. His recovery is remarkable, she said to Amanda. Most humans would still be unconscious after burns that severe. His people must have very advanced healing abilities. Do you think he will wake up soon? Amanda asked. Very soon, I think. His brain activity has been increasing over the last few hours. I think he might be starting to dream. Amanda wondered what an alien boy might dream about. Did he dream of his family and friends? Did he dream of his home and the places he had been? Did he dream of the human woman who had pulled him from the acid mud and saved his life? What if his people think we kidnapped him? Amanda asked Dr. Grant. What if they think we hurt him on purpose? Then we will have to convince them otherwise. Dr. Grant replied. We will have to show them that we are not their enemies and that we were only trying to help. Amanda looked out the window at the alien world below. Somewhere down there, thousands of aliens were looking for this boy. Somewhere down there, his family was worried about him and probably feared the worst. Amanda had wanted to save one life, but she might have put many more lives in danger. The alien boy stirred slightly in his sleep and made a soft sound in his throat. Amanda leaned closer and saw that his eyes were moving under his closed eyelids. He was definitely dreaming, and Amanda hoped they were good dreams and not nightmares about being trapped in acid mud. Please wake up, Amanda whispered. Please help me fix this mess I have created. Outside the window, the alien sun was setting again and painting the sky in colors that did not exist on Earth. Soon it would be night, and Amanda knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges and possibly new dangers. She had saved one life, but the cost of that salvation was still unknown. Amanda was reading a book about alien language patterns when the alien boy's eyes suddenly opened. She nearly dropped her tablet in surprise as those strange golden eyes looked directly at her, with an expression of confusion and fear. The boy tried to sit up quickly, but Dr. Grant's medical restraints kept him lying, down on the bed. The alien boy looked around the medical bay with wide, frightened eyes and started speaking rapidly in his own language. His voice was deeper than Amanda had expected and had a musical quality that made it sound almost like singing. But the tone was clearly panicked, and Amanda could hear the fear even though she could not understand the words. It is okay, Amanda said in the gentlest voice she could manage. You are safe now. No one is going to hurt you. The alien boy's golden eyes focused on Amanda, and his expression changed from fear to confusion. He tilted his head slightly and studied her face as if he was trying to remember something. Then he looked down at his own body and saw the bandages covering his burns and the medical equipment attached to him. Do you remember what happened? Amanda asked slowly, even though she knew he could not understand her words. She hoped her tone would sound calm and reassuring. The alien boy spoke again in his musical language, but this time his voice was quieter and less panicked. He pointed at Amanda and then at himself and said something that sounded like a question. Amanda thought he might be asking who she was or how he had gotten here. Dr. Grant entered the medical bay, and the alien boy's eyes immediately fixed on her with suspicion. He said something sharp in his language that sounded like a warning or a command. His body tensed as if he was preparing to fight even though he was still restrained on the medical bed. He seems alert and coherent, Dr. Grant said to Amanda while keeping her distance from the alien boy. His vital signs are strong and his burns are healing remarkably well. But he is obviously frightened and confused. Amanda stood up slowly and held her hands out where the alien boy could see them. She pointed to herself and said Amanda in a clear voice. Then she pointed to him and raised her eyebrows as if asking a question. The alien boy stared at her for a long moment and then pointed to himself and said, Kael'thon. His pronunciation was careful and deliberate, as if he was trying to help her understand. Kael'thon, Amanda repeated, and the alien boy nodded approvingly. She pointed to herself again and said, Amanda. And Kael'thon tried to copy the sounds, but his accent made it sound different. Captain Walsh entered the medical bay, followed by Jake Morrison and Lisa Turner. Kael'thon immediately became agitated when he saw more humans and started pulling against his restraints. He spoke rapidly in his language, and his voice was getting louder and more distressed. He does not like crowds, Amanda observed. Maybe we should limit the number of people in here until he feels more comfortable. We need to establish communication as quickly as possible, Captain Walsh said. Our sensors show that large groups of his people are still moving toward this area. We need to know what their intentions are. Amanda looked at Kael'thon, who was still struggling against his restraints and speaking urgently in his own language. She could see the frustration in his golden eyes as he tried to communicate something important. Maybe we should let him sit up, Amanda suggested. He might feel less threatened if he is not lying down and restrained. Dr. Grant hesitated but then nodded and began removing the medical restraints. As soon as Kael'thon was free, he sat up on the edge of the bed and looked around the room with alert eyes. He moved carefully because of his healing burns, but Amanda could see that he was strong and agile. Kael'thon pointed toward the window and said something in an urgent tone. He repeated the same word several times and gestured as if he was trying to explain something important. Amanda followed his gaze toward the window that showed the planet's surface below. I think he is trying to tell us something about his people, Amanda said. Maybe he knows they are looking for him. Maria Santos, the communications specialist, entered the medical bay carrying a portable translation computer. I have been analyzing the recordings of his speech patterns, she announced. The computer has identified some basic grammatical structures, but we need more vocabulary to build a working translation matrix. Kael'thon watched with interest as Maria set up the translation equipment. When the computer started playing back samples of his own voice, he looked surprised and then pleased. He began speaking to the computer in his own language and seemed delighted when it recorded his words. He understands that this is a communication device, Maria observed. He is definitely intelligent and probably comes from a technologically advanced culture. Over the next hour, Maria worked with Kael'thon to establish basic communication. The alien boy was patient and cooperative as he repeated words and phrases for the computer to analyze. He pointed to objects in the room and said their names in his language. He counted numbers and showed simple emotions like happiness and sadness. Gradually, the translation computer began to make sense of Kael'thon's language. The first complete sentence it translated was, "Where is my father?" The second sentence was, "My people are in danger." Amanda felt her heart sink when she heard those words. "What kind of danger?" she asked through the translation computer. Kael'thon's response took several minutes to translate because he used words that were not in the computer's vocabulary yet. When the translation finally appeared on the screen, it made everyone in the room go silent. The destroyers have returned. They come from the dark sky to steal our sacred stones and kill our people. My father sent me to gather healing stones from the river, but the poison mud trapped me. The destroyers will attack when the red moon rises. Captain Walsh stepped forward and spoke into the translation computer. Who are the destroyers? Are they from this world or from somewhere else? Kael'thon's reply was immediate and filled with fear. They come from beyond the sky in great metal birds like yours. They have weapons that burn like lightning and armor that our arrows cannot pierce. They have been hunting my people for many seasons. How many seasons? Captain Walsh asked. 3 seasons of the red moon, Kael'thon replied. They come and take our young people and our sacred stones. They burn our villages and poison our water. My father leads the resistance, but we are losing the war. Amanda realized with growing horror that the aliens Kael'thon was describing sounded like another spacefaring species. Earth had always wondered if they would encounter hostile aliens when they finally reached the stars. It appeared that this young alien's people were already fighting such a war. Are the destroyers coming here now? Amanda asked through the translator. Kael'thon nodded gravely. My father's scouts saw their metal birds in the sky 2 days ago. They are gathering for a great attack. My people must prepare for battle, but I was supposed to bring healing stones to help the wounded. The healing stones? Dr. Grant asked. What do they do? They heal wounds and cure sickness, Kael'thon explained. The stones from the Poison River are the most powerful, but also the most dangerous to gather. That is why my father sent me instead of going himself. Amanda understood now why Kael'thon had been near the acid mud pit. He had been risking his life to gather medicine for his people who were preparing for war, and while he was unconscious in the human medical bay, his people were facing an alien invasion without their healing stones. We have to help them, Amanda said to Captain Walsh. If there really are hostile aliens attacking this planet, then we cannot just stand by and watch. We do not know enough about the situation, Captain Walsh replied. These destroyers might be the legitimate government of this system. We could be interfering in a civil war. Kael'thon had been listening to their conversation through the translator, and now he spoke with passion and urgency. The destroyers are not from this world. They came from the dark between the stars to steal and kill and enslave. They are enemies of all life. If you do not help us fight them, they will destroy you too when they are finished with my people. Amanda looked around the room at her fellow humans and saw uncertainty and fear in their faces. They had come here to explore and study and make peaceful contact with alien civilizations. None of them had expected to arrive in the middle of an interstellar war. But Amanda knew that they could not turn their backs on people who were fighting for their survival against a hostile alien force. If humans were going to explore the galaxy, then they needed to be willing to stand with other species against common threats. What is the name of your people? Amanda asked Kael'thon. We are the Taki, he replied with pride. Children of the wind and guardians of the sacred stones. Amanda nodded and made her decision. She would find a way to help the Taki, even if it meant disobeying more orders and facing more consequences. Some things were more important than following rules. Kael'thon grew stronger every hour, and with his strength came more urgent warnings about the coming attack. Through the translation computer, he told Amanda and the others about the Zethkar, which was what his people called the Destroyers. The stories he shared made everyone on the New Horizon realize that they had arrived at a very dangerous time. The Zethkar are not like your people or mine, Kael'thon explained as he sat on the edge of the medical bed. They do not seek to understand or to trade or to learn. They only want to take what belongs to others and destroy what they cannot take. Amanda listened carefully as Kael'thon described the alien invaders. According to him, the Zethkar looked somewhat like giant insects with hard shell-like skin and multiple arms. They wore metal armor and carried weapons that shot beams of energy that could cut through stone and metal. Their ships were dark and angular and made no sound when they flew through the sky. How long have they been attacking your people? Maria Santos asked through the translator. They first came when I was a small child, Kael'thon replied. At first they only took small groups of our people and a few sacred stones. We thought they were just raiders who would eventually go away, but each time they returned they took more and stayed longer. Kael'thon explained that the sacred stones his people guarded were not just valuable for healing. The stones contained a rare mineral that the Zethkar needed for their advanced technology. The mineral was found on very few worlds, and the Taki planet had one of the largest deposits in this part of the galaxy. The Zethkar have stripped the stones from 7 other worlds, Kael'thon said sadly. Each time they completely destroy the native people and take everything of value. Our world will be the 8th if we cannot stop them. Captain Walsh had been listening to everything through the communication system from the bridge. Now his voice came through the speakers with authority and concern. Kael'thon, we need to know more about the Zethkar military capabilities. How many ships do they have? What kind of weapons? How many soldiers? Kael'thon thought carefully before answering. Their main fleet has 12 great ships, each as large as a mountain. Each great ship carries many smaller ships that can attack quickly and return to safety. They have thousands of warriors, and their weapons can destroy our villages from far away. And your people, Captain Walsh continued. How many warriors do you have? What weapons do you use to fight them? We have perhaps 2,000 warriors spread across many tribes, Kael'thon replied. We fight with arrows and spears and knives made from sacred stone. Some of our weapons can pierce their armor, but we must get very close to use them. Many of our warriors die for each Zethkar we kill. Amanda felt sick as she realized how outmatched the Taki were. They were fighting a primitive ground war against an advanced spacefaring military force. It was like watching medieval knights try to fight modern soldiers with tanks and aircraft. "Why have the Zethkar not just destroyed all your people at once?" Dr. Grant asked. "If they are so much more powerful, why are they taking so long?" Kael'than's expression grew dark and angry. "Because they do not just want our stones, they want our people too. They take our young and strong warriors and make them into slaves to work in their mines on other worlds. They want to break our spirit before they kill those who remain." "How do you know about the other worlds?" Jake Morrison asked. "Have any of your people escaped from the Zethkar and returned?" "My older brother Morketh was taken 2 seasons ago," Kael'than said with pain in his voice. "He escaped from one of their prison ships and made it back to our world. He told us what he had seen before he died from his injuries. Worlds where the air is poison and the ground is torn apart by mining machines. Thousands of slaves from dozens of different species all working until they die." Amanda could see tears in Kael'than's golden eyes as he spoke about his brother. She reached out and gently touched his hand in a gesture of comfort. Kael'than looked surprised at first, but then squeezed her hand in return. "The Zethkar are coming for the final attack very soon," Kael'than continued. "My father's scouts have seen their ships gathering in the dark between the moons. When the red moon rises tomorrow night, they will come in greater numbers than ever before." Captain Walsh's voice came through the speakers again. "Kael'than, do your people know about our ship? Do they think we are working with the Zethkar?" Kael'than nodded slowly. "When your metal bird first appeared in our sky, my father thought you were advanced scouts for the Zethkar. He was preparing to attack your ship with all our warriors. But when I did not return from the river, he began to wonder if something else had happened. So your people might attack us?" Captain Walsh asked. "Not now," Kael'than replied. "I must return to my people and tell them that you are not Zethkar. I must tell my father that you saved my life and that you might be willing to help us fight our enemies." Amanda felt her heart skip a beat. "You want to leave the ship and go back to your people?" "I must," Kael'than said with determination. "My people need to know that there are other sky travelers who are not evil. They need to know that the universe contains friends as well as enemies." "But it is dangerous," Amanda protested. "Your burns are not fully healed and the Zethkar attack is coming soon." Kael'than stood up from the medical bed and tested his balance. His movements were careful but steady. "I am strong enough to travel. And my people need me now more than ever. If I do not return, they will think the Zethkar captured me, and they will attack your ship out of revenge." Captain Walsh made the decision quickly. "We will take you back to your people in our shuttle. But we want to meet with your leaders and discuss the situation. If the Zethkar are really as dangerous as you say, then Earth needs to know about them. My father will meet with you," Kael'than promised. "Chief Mordu is a wise leader, and he will listen to what you have to say. But you must understand that my people are very suspicious of all sky travelers now. You will need to prove that you are different from the Zethkar." Amanda volunteered to go on the mission to return Kael'than to his people. Captain Walsh was reluctant to let her go after her previous violations of protocol, but Amanda argued that she had already established a relationship with Kael'than and that her presence would help prove human peaceful intentions. "Besides," Amanda said, "I want to see this through. I saved his life and now I want to help save his people." Dr. Grant cleared Kael'than for travel and provided him with medical supplies to treat his remaining burns. Maria Santos prepared a portable translation computer so that communication with the Taki leaders would be possible. Jake Morrison loaded the shuttle with basic medical supplies and emergency equipment. As they prepared to leave the New Horizon, Amanda realized that this mission would be even more dangerous than her first trip to the planet's surface. This time they would be meeting with an entire alien civilization that was preparing for war. And somewhere in the darkness beyond the moons, a hostile alien fleet was preparing to attack. "Are you ready for this?" Amanda asked Kael'than as they walked toward the shuttle bay. "I have been ready my whole life," Kael'than replied. "My people have always known that someday we would have to fight for our survival. What I did not know was that we might have allies in that fight." Amanda hoped that was true. She hoped that humanity could find a way to help the Taki without making the situation worse. But she also knew that once they landed on the planet's surface, there would be no going back. Whatever happened next would determine the future relationship between humans and aliens and possibly the survival of an entire species. The shuttle doors closed behind them, and Amanda felt the ship begin to move toward the planet below. In a few hours, she would be face to face with an alien civilization. that was fighting for its life against an enemy that had destroyed 7 other worlds. She just hoped that one human woman's decision to save a drowning boy would be enough to convince his people that not all visitors from the stars came in peace. The shuttle landed in the same valley where Amanda had first rescued Kelthan, but now the peaceful riverside was filled with hundreds of Taki warriors. They stood in organized groups with weapons ready and their golden eyes fixed on the human shuttle with suspicion and wariness. Amanda could see that they were all tall and lean, with the same dark skin and natural markings as Kelthan, but many of them bore fresh scars from recent battles. Kelthan stood up in the shuttle and looked out at his people with obvious relief and joy. "My father is here," he said to Amanda, the tall warrior with the feathered headdress standing near the large boulder. "Chief Mordu leads all the tribes of our people in the fight against the Zethkar." Amanda studied the alien chief through the shuttle window. Mordu was indeed tall and imposing, with broad shoulders and arms marked by many battle scars. His headdress was made from the feathers of some alien bird and decorated with what looked like carved bone and polished stones. His face was stern and weathered, but Amanda could see intelligence and strength in his golden eyes. "He looks like he would rather fight us than talk to us," Jake Morrison observed nervously. "My people have learned to be cautious around sky travelers," Kelthan explained. "But my father is fair and wise. If you show him respect and speak truthfully, he will listen to what you have to say." Captain Walsh's voice came through the communication system from the New Horizon. "Remember that you are representing all of humanity down there. Be respectful, but do not show weakness. These people are warriors and they will judge us by our strength as much as our intentions." Amanda nodded and checked her translation computer one more time. Maria Santos had loaded it with all the vocabulary they had learned from Kelthan, and it should be able to handle basic conversations. But Amanda knew that some things could not be translated by machines and would require understanding that went beyond words. The shuttle door opened, and Kelthan stepped out first. A great cheer went up from the assembled warriors as they saw their young leader alive and well. Several of them rushed forward to embrace him, and Amanda could hear rapid conversations in the musical Taki language. But she noticed that many eyes remained fixed on the shuttle where she and Jake still waited. Kelthan spoke loudly to his people and gestured toward the shuttle. Amanda could not understand his words, but his tone sounded respectful and grateful. Then he turned back to the shuttle and beckoned for Amanda and Jake to come out. Amanda took a deep breath and stepped onto the alien soil for the second time. The assembled Taki warriors fell silent as they studied the two humans. Amanda could feel hundreds of golden eyes examining her every movement and expression. She tried to look calm and peaceful while still showing confidence and strength. Chief Mordu approached slowly with 2 other warriors flanking him. One was an older female with gray streaks in her dark hair and intricate tattoos covering her arms. The other was a young male who looked very similar to Kelthan and was probably his brother or cousin. All 3 carried weapons, but they held them casually rather than threateningly. Kelthan spoke to his father in their own language for several minutes. Amanda could tell that he was explaining what had happened and describing his rescue by the humans. Chief Mordu listened carefully and occasionally asked questions. His expression was unreadable, but Amanda thought she saw some of the suspicion leave his eyes. When Kelthan finished speaking, Chief Mordu stepped forward and looked directly at Amanda. He said something in the Taki language and waited for the translation computer to convert his words to English. "You are the Sky Woman who saved my son from the poison mud," the computer translated. "Kelthan tells me that you risked your own life to pull him from certain death. He tells me that you used your own healing medicine to treat his burns. Is this true?" Amanda looked directly into the chief's golden eyes and spoke clearly so the translation computer could process her words accurately. "Yes, it is true. Your son was trapped and dying. I could not watch someone suffer when I had the power to help them. Any decent person would have done the same thing." Chief Mordu listened to the translation and then spoke again. "Kelthan also tells me that your people are not Zethkar. He says you come from a distant world and that you wish to be friends with the Tahaki. How do I know this is true? How do I know you are not spies for our enemies?" Amanda had expected this question and had prepared her answer carefully. "Chief Mordu, your son, can tell you that we treated his injuries with care and respect. We fed him and kept him safe, and we returned him to you unharmed. If we were working with the Zethkar, we would have turned him over to them or used him as a hostage. Instead, we are here offering our friendship and our help. The female warrior stepped forward and spoke in a voice that sounded like authority. The translation computer identified her as wise speaker Nali and translated her words. Words are easy to speak, but actions show true intentions. What help can Sky People offer that would be worth the risk of trusting you? Jake Morrison activated his own translation computer and spoke respectfully. We have advanced medical supplies that can heal injuries faster than natural healing. We have weapons that can penetrate Zethkar armor. We have ships that can fight in the sky as well as on the ground. But most importantly, we have knowledge about fighting enemies who come from other worlds. Chief Mordu's eyes sharpened with interest at the mention of weapons and ships. Show me these weapons you speak of. Prove that you have the power to hurt the Zethkar. Jake looked at Amanda for confirmation, and then pulled out a small energy pistol from his equipment belt. He aimed it at a large rock about 50 meters away and fired. The energy beam cut through the stone like it was soft clay, and the rock fell apart in 2 clean pieces. A murmur of amazement went through the assembled Taki warriors. They had never seen a weapon that could cut stone so easily. Chief Mordu walked over to examine the cut rock and ran his fingers along the smooth edges where the energy beam had sliced through. This weapon could pierce Zethkar armor, he said with growing excitement. How many of these weapons do your people have? Not many, Amanda admitted honestly. Our ship has limited weapons because we came here to explore and study, not to fight. But we can teach your people how to make weapons that will work against the Zethkar. We can share our knowledge of technology and tactics. Kyleton spoke up and addressed his father with passion in his voice. The translation computer processed his words slowly. Father, these Sky People saved my life when they could have left me to die. They ask for nothing in return except friendship. The Zethkar take everything and give back only death and slavery. These humans offer to share their knowledge and fight beside us against our common enemy. Chief Mordu was quiet for a long moment as he considered everything he had heard. Amanda could see that he was weighing the risks and benefits of trusting the humans. Finally, he spoke in a formal tone that sounded like a decision. Sky Woman Amanda, who saved my son, I will accept your offer of friendship and alliance. But you must understand that we are desperate people fighting for our survival. If you betray us or prove to be false friends, we will show you no mercy. We understand, Amanda replied, and we promise that we will never betray your trust. We want to help you defeat the Zethkar and protect your people. Chief Mordu nodded and then raised his voice so all the assembled warriors could hear him. He spoke in the Taki language for several minutes, and Amanda could tell that he was explaining the alliance to his people. When he finished, many of the warriors cheered and raised their weapons in salute. My people accept you as allies, Chief Mordu said through the translator. Now we must prepare for battle. The Zethkar will attack when the red moon rises tomorrow night. We have 1 day to combine your knowledge with our courage and create a defense that can save our world. Amanda felt a mixture of excitement and terror as she realized what they had committed to. In 24 hours, they would be fighting alongside an alien species against another alien species in a battle that would determine the fate of an entire civilization. But as she looked around at the brave Taki warriors and thought about young Kael'thon trapped in the acid mud, she knew that they had made the right choice. Some things were worth fighting for even when the odds seemed impossible. The alliance between humans and Taki had begun with one woman's decision to save a drowning boy. Now it would be tested in battle against an enemy that had destroyed 7 worlds and enslaved thousands of innocent people. Amanda just hoped that courage and friendship would be enough to defeat superior technology and overwhelming numbers. Tomorrow they would find out if one act of compassion could change the course of an interstellar war. The next 20 hours passed like a whirlwind of activity as humans and Taki worked together to prepare for the coming battle. Amanda had never seen anything like the organized chaos that filled the valley as two completely different civilizations tried to combine their knowledge and resources. In less than 1 day, Jake Morrison set up a temporary workshop using equipment from the shuttle and began showing Taki craftsmen how to modify their weapons. The Taki had always made their arrowheads and spear points from the sacred stones, which were naturally very hard and sharp. Jake showed them how to attach small power cells to their traditional weapons to create energy-enhanced arrows that could pierce Zethkar armor. Your sacred stones conduct energy better than anything we have ever seen, Jake explained to the head craftsman through the translation computer. If we can channel power through them, your arrows will cut through metal like they cut through leather. The Taki craftsman, whose name was Stone Shaper, worked with incredible skill and speed. His hands moved like a master artist as he carved tiny channels in the sacred stone arrowheads and fitted them with human power cells. Within hours, he had created dozens of hybrid weapons that combined ancient craftsmanship with modern technology. Meanwhile, Dr. Susan Grant had set up a field medical station and was training Taki healers to use human medical supplies. The Taki had their own traditional medicines, made from various plants and stones, but Grant's synthetic drugs and surgical tools could treat injuries that would normally be fatal. Your people's natural healing ability is remarkable, Grant told the chief healer Gentle Hands. But these antibiotics will prevent infection, and these surgical instruments will let you operate on internal injuries. Between your natural medicine and our technology, we should be able to save many more lives. Gentle Hands was an elderly Taki female with wise eyes and gentle movements that explained her name. She learned to use the human medical equipment with surprising ease and quickly understood how to combine it with traditional Taki healing methods. Amanda spent most of her time working with Chief Mordu and his war leaders to plan the defense of the valley. The Taki knew every rock and tree and stream in their territory, and they used this knowledge to create tactics that would give them advantages over the more advanced Zethkar forces. The Zethkar always attack from the sky first, explained Windrunner, who was the chief scout and Mordu's brother. They send their small, fast ships to destroy our weapons and scatter our warriors. Then their big ships land and their soldiers hunt down anyone who tries to hide. What if we could hide your warriors where their sensors cannot detect them? Amanda suggested. Our scans show that the sacred stone deposits create interference with electronic equipment. If we position your people near the largest deposits, the Zethkar might not be able to see them until it is too late. Chief Mordu studied the tactical maps that Jake had created using the shuttle's computers. The maps showed the entire valley with all the stone deposits marked in bright colors. This could work, he said slowly. We could hide our main force near the Great Stone and attack from there when the Zethkar ships land. Captain Walsh remained on the New Horizon, monitoring Zethkar fleet movements and providing intelligence updates. His reports were not encouraging. Long-range sensors show at least 15 large ships approaching the system, he reported through the communication link. They will arrive in approximately 6 hours. I estimate they are carrying several thousand soldiers and enough firepower to level the entire continent. Amanda felt her stomach clench with fear, but she tried to keep her voice steady. What about reinforcements from Earth? When will they arrive? Not for at least 3 months, Captain Walsh replied grimly. We are on our own down there. The New Horizon will provide air support, but we are just one ship against an entire fleet. Kylthan had recovered enough to take an active role in the preparations despite his still healing burns. He worked with the younger Taki warriors to teach them how to use the human energy weapons that Jake had modified for them. His enthusiasm and confidence helped boost morale among fighters who were facing impossible odds. Remember that each shot must count, Kylthan told a group of teenage warriors as they practiced with the hybrid energy bows. These weapons will give us an advantage, but only if we use them wisely. Wait for clear shots and aim for weak points in their armor. Amanda watched the young alien who she had saved from the acid mud and marveled at how much he had grown in just a few days. The frightened boy who had awakened in the medical bay was now a confident leader, helping his people prepare for the most important battle of their lives. As the red moon began to rise in the alien sky, Amanda walked through the defensive positions one last time. Taki warriors crouched behind rocky outcroppings with their energy-enhanced weapons ready. Human medical stations were hidden in caves near the sacred stone deposits. Emergency supply caches were buried at strategic locations throughout the valley. Are you ready for this? Chief Mordu asked Amanda as they stood together on a hill overlooking the battlefield. No one is ever ready for war, Amanda replied honestly, but we have done everything we can to prepare. Your people are brave and resourceful, and now they have better weapons. We have a chance, more than a chance, Mordu said firmly. We have hope. Before you came, we were preparing to die fighting. Now we are preparing to win. The red moon climbed higher in the sky and cast an eerie light over the valley where two species waited to face a common enemy. Amanda thought about the long chain of events that had brought them to this moment. If she had not decided to save Kylthan from the quicksand, none of this would be happening. The Taski would be facing the Zethkar alone, and the humans would be safely exploring some distant part of the galaxy. But Amanda knew that she could not have made any other choice. When she saw someone in danger, her instinct was to help regardless of the consequences. That same instinct had convinced her to stay and fight alongside the Taki, even though it meant risking her life and possibly starting an interstellar war. Contact came. Captain Walsh's voice through the communication system. Zethkar fleet has entered the system. Multiple large ships heading directly for the planet. Estimated time to arrival is 90 minutes. Amanda felt her heart start beating faster as she realized that the waiting was almost over. In less than 2 hours, they would discover whether courage and friendship could overcome superior technology and overwhelming numbers. Around the valley, Tahaki warriors checked their weapons one last time and whispered prayers to their ancestors. Human equipment hummed quietly as it prepared to face technology from a civilization that had conquered 7 worlds. Dr. Grant made final checks on her medical supplies while Jake Morrison tested the communication links between all the defensive positions. Chief Mordu gathered his war leaders for one last strategy meeting, while Kael'thas moved among the younger warriors offering encouragement and advice. Whatever happens tonight, Amanda said to herself as she watched the preparations. Around her, we will face it together. The red moon reached its peak in the alien sky and cast long shadows across the valley, where the fate of 2 civilizations would soon be decided. In the distance, the first Zethkar ships appeared as dark spots against the stars, growing larger as they approached the world that they had come to destroy. The battle for the Taki homeworld was about to begin, and Amanda Clark, who had come to this planet as an explorer and scientist, was now preparing to fight as a warrior in defense of people she had learned to call friends. The Zethkar ships descended from the star-filled sky like giant metal insects, blotting out the red moon with their dark, angular hulls. Amanda crouched behind a boulder next to Chief Mordu and watched through binoculars as the enemy fleet arranged itself for attack. The ships were even larger and more intimidating than Kael'thas had described, and Amanda felt a chill of fear as she realized what they were facing. 12 large ships and at least 30 smaller ones, she reported through her communication device to Captain Walsh on the New Horizon. They are taking positions around the valley in a classic encirclement pattern. Copy that, Captain Walsh replied. I am bringing the New Horizon into attack position, but I can only engage a few ships at a time. The rest will be up to you and the Taki ground forces. The first wave of Zethkar attack ships swept down toward the valley floor like hunting birds seeking prey. Their weapons began firing even before they reached the ground, sending beams of crackling energy that carved deep trenches in the earth and set the grass on fire. But the Taki warriors remained hidden in their positions among the sacred stone deposits, just as Amanda had planned. Wait until they land, Chief Mordu commanded through the communication network. Let them think the valley is empty and undefended. Amanda watched through her binoculars as the first Zethkar soldiers emerged from their landing ships. They were indeed insect-like as Kael'thas had described, with hard chitinous armor and multiple jointed arms that moved in quick, jerky motions. Their weapons looked like organic growths attached to their bodies rather than manufactured tools. Now, Chief Mordu shouted, and the valley erupted with energy beams and arrows as hundreds of Taki warriors opened fire from concealed positions. The Zethkar soldiers had expected to face primitive spears and stone weapons. Instead, they found themselves under attack by energy-enhanced arrows that cut through their armor like paper and hybrid weapons that channeled the power of the sacred stones into devastating beams of destruction. Amanda fired her own energy pistol at a group of Zethkar soldiers who were trying to establish a defensive position near one of their landing ships. Her shots found their targets and sent the alien invaders scrambling for cover that did not exist in the carefully prepared killing field. The stones are working, Jake Morrison reported from his position near the Great Stone Deposit. Their sensors cannot penetrate the energy interference. They have no idea where our people are hidden. The battle raged across the valley floor as more Zethkar ships landed and disgorged their cargo of soldiers. But each time they tried to advance, they were met by devastating fire from weapons they had never encountered before. The sacred stones that they had come to steal were now being used against them in ways they could not understand or counter. Kael'thas led a group of young Taki warriors in a flanking attack against a Zethkar command post. Amanda watched with pride as the boy she had saved from Quicksand moved with the grace and skill of a natural warrior. His energy-enhanced bow sang as arrow after arrow found its mark in Zethkar armor. Amanda, came Dr. Grant's voice through the communication system. I have wounded Taki coming into the medical station. The human medical supplies are working perfectly with their natural healing ability. We are saving lives that would have been lost in previous battles. But even with their advantages, the human-Taki alliance was still outnumbered by more than 10 to 1. For every Zethkar soldier that fell, 2 more seemed to take his place. The enemy ships kept landing and bringing fresh troops while the defenders had only the warriors they had started with. We need air support. Chief Mordu called to Amanda as a group of Zethkar soldiers threatened to overrun one of the defensive positions. Can your ship help us? Amanda was about to call Captain Walsh when the sky above the valley suddenly lit up with weapons fire. The New Horizon had arrived and was engaging the Zethkar fleet with everything it had. Energy beams and missile trails crossed the darkness as the human ship fought against impossible odds to support the ground battle. This is New Horizon. Captain Walsh's voice came through static and interference. I am engaging their capital ships, but there are too many of them. I cannot hold them off much longer. Amanda realized that they needed something more than superior weapons and good tactics to win this battle. They needed to strike at the heart of the Zethkar operation and force them to retreat before they could bring overwhelming numbers to bear. Chief Mordu, Amanda called through her communication device. We need to capture one of their command ships. If we can take their leadership hostage or disable their communications, we might be able to force them to withdraw. How do we reach their ships? Mordu replied. They are guarded by hundreds of soldiers. Amanda studied the battlefield through her binoculars and saw that one of the larger Zethkar ships had landed near the river where she had first rescued Kael'than. The ship was protected by energy shields and surrounded by guards, but it was also close to the largest deposit of sacred stones in the valley. The ship near the river, Amanda said. If we can get close enough to the sacred stone deposit, the energy interference should disrupt their shields and sensors. A small team might be able to get inside. Kael'than's voice came through the communication network with excitement and determination. I know that area better than anyone. I can lead a team to the ship. No, Amanda said immediately. It is too dangerous. I will not let you risk your life again. Sky Woman Amanda. Kael'than replied, and his voice was strong and confident. You saved my life by the river, and now I will save our people at the same place. This is my choice to make. Before Amanda could argue further, Kael'than was already moving with a small group of elite Taki warriors toward the river where the Zethkar command ship waited. Amanda watched through her binoculars as the young alien warrior she had rescued from acid mud led his people in the most dangerous mission of the battle. The attack on the command ship was swift and decisive. The sacred stone interference did exactly what Amanda had predicted, and the Zethkar shields failed just as Kael'than's team reached the ship. Energy-enhanced arrows and traditional Taki courage combined to overwhelm the guards and secure the vessel. We have control of their command ship, Kael'than reported. Their communication systems are damaged and their leaders are captured. Within minutes, the effect was visible across the battlefield. Zethkar soldiers stopped advancing and began looking around in confusion as their command structure collapsed. Without orders from their leaders, the disciplined alien army began to fall apart. This is Captain Walsh, came the voice from the New Horizon. The Zethkar fleet is withdrawing. I repeat, the enemy fleet is in full retreat. Amanda could hardly believe what she was seeing. The dark ships that had descended like harbingers of destruction were now lifting off and heading back toward the stars. The Zethkar, who had conquered 7 worlds and enslaved thousands of people, were retreating from a primitive planet defended by Stone Age warriors in a single human exploration ship. We did it, Chief Mordu said with amazement in his voice. We actually defeated them. The battle was over, but the work of building a lasting alliance was just beginning. Over the following days and weeks, humans and Taki worked together to establish formal diplomatic relations and plan for future cooperation. The Zethkar had been defeated, but other threats might emerge, and both species would be stronger if they faced them together. Amanda stood once again by the river where everything had started, just a few weeks earlier. But now, instead of being alone, she was surrounded by human and Taki children playing together in the shallow water. The site where she had nearly died saving a drowning boy had become a symbol of the friendship between 2 civilizations. Kael'than approached and stood beside her as they watched the children play. His burns had healed completely, and he now wore the ceremonial markings of a war leader among his people. But his golden eyes still held the same intelligence and kindness that Amanda had seen when she first pulled him from the acid mud. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had followed your orders that day? Kael'than asked in English, which he had been learning from the human teachers. Sometimes, Amanda admitted, but I try not to think about it too much. I made the choice that felt right in my heart, and I cannot regret the consequences. Your choice saved my life, Kael'than said. But more than that, it saved both our peoples. The Zethkar would have destroyed my world, and then they would have followed your ship back to yours. By choosing to help one person, you protected two entire civilizations. Amanda watched the children playing and thought about the future that was now possible because one human woman had decided to risk everything to save a stranger. Human and Taki scientists were already working together to develop new technologies. Human and Taki explorers were planning joint missions to map the galaxy and search for other worlds that might need protection from hostile forces. The universe is a dangerous place, Amanda said to Kael'than, but it is also full of possibilities for friendship and cooperation. We just have to be brave enough to reach out to each other. Like you reached out to pull me from the poison mud, Kael'than replied with a smile. Exactly like that, Amanda agreed.